Take your hands, wrap them behind you, come to fingertips, and then push down and lean forward a little bit. Close your eyes. Move the shoulders back and apart so your upper chest, your collarbone is nice and open. And then engage your core to release the hands back towards your thighs. And we'll take a moment or two to connect to the breath. So start that pattern of breathing, what's comfortable for you. But we want to allow the breath to move as deeply into the body as we can. And I've found over the last couple months this, if we kind of target our breath, that space between the pubic bone and the top or the belly button, it's that nice zone that if we can feel like we're sending our breath into that space, that's the area that triggers the body into making that transition to a more peaceful and tranquil state. So take a couple moments here just to try to capture that space with your breath. Let your shoulders be soft. And just take these early rounds of breath to not only find that zone of breath, but also to allow yourself the opportunity to see how the body is presenting itself this morning. So as you breathe, we breathe into the entire body space, opening, creating space, releasing tension. Our core begins to become more active as we start to use the Uddiyana Bandha as our belly button moves in towards our spine, just subtle. So we feel that stability in our midsection, and our shoulders again continue to roll back and apart, and our chin is roughly parallel to the floor. We'll take a moment here to set the intention of this practice. And before we set the intention of our practice, let's take the hips and move them into the floor as we feel the ribs are moving up into the body space. So feel length in your torso to create additional space and room in our body. And it is from there that we draw the hands to prayer position to the heart. As we find and connect to our intention, we bow our heads. We lift our chin and we release the hands back behind us. Fingertips are rooted in towards the floor. We get a little heavier and we roll the shoulders back, and then from there we start to lean a little bit further in towards our cross of the legs. Transition the hands out front. And just take a moment or two here. Move your hips around, kind of wiggle back and forth just a little bit. Find that connection of the sit bones in towards the floor, but feel grounded. Feel that sense of stability that stems from the pelvic floor up into the body space. And then we're just going to walk it a little bit over towards the left. Nothing fancy, just a little bit twist over towards the left. You'll feel that right side start to activate a little bit. We'll walk it back into neutral and we'll transition to the right side. A little bit of space on the left. Good. We'll come back into neutral. We'll take one breath here, and as we exhale, we'll step the hands further just a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 inches at the most. Move the shoulders back, keep your hips grounded in towards the floor, and then we transition back to the left again. So as we move towards the left, we let the right hip start to get a little heavier. Breathe. Just experiencing some length in the torso. We come back to neutral, we take it to the right. And as we find that space, we stretch a little bit over that right knee, gaining length. We come back into neutral, we step the hands a little bit further, adding space within the torso, keeping the hips rooted in towards the floor. We transition back to the left. And this time as we stretch to the left, we move that right hip down a little bit and we move the right ribs down a little bit. Even look over towards the left to help us with that space in our mid-back. We come back into neutral, we transition to the right. We take the left ribs down a little bit, maybe look to the right. We come back into neutral, last round, walk your hands that final step further, keeping the sit bones and your hips rooted to the floor. Move the shoulders back, take a breath here, and transition back to the left. Maybe we take it a little bit further, creating more room in that right side. The right hip moves down, stretching that right hip right into the joint. You'll feel that stretch. Right ribs move down as you take your gaze towards the left a little bit. Come back into neutral, we walk it to the right. Last time, the ribs move down, we stretch, we look to the right. Good, we come back into neutral when we lift our shoulders over our hips. From there, take the hands out to the side, so directly outside your hips. Take your right arm up and over towards the left. Lean into that left side, but as you do, make the right hip a little heavier so we stay grounded. Take the right arm up, transition to the right side. We'll start a nice little pattern of movement here, switching from side to side. And if you find a space that you want to hang out for a moment, then hold that pattern and then switch. We'll continue to move. You can move at your pace, but the most important thing is to keep the integrity of the movement and the integrity of the body. Keeping each hip rooted in towards the floor as you go side to side. So as we move in this position, we're simply creating a little greater movement in our spine and absolutely working in towards the hips and starting to open that region, so as we progress through practice, we can take the possibility of going deeper into some areas. Now we'll take it to the right, and then this time, instead of going from that direct side to side, we're going to drop that left shoulder down towards that left knee, and we're going to sweep the left arm across. The right arm is going to follow, and we're going to take it up towards the left. And then we'll drop that right arm down towards the left knee, sweep it across, left hand follows, left arm comes up and over. And we'll do this a few more times. Your core is nice and active here, so we make sure as we move these directions in a little bit more of a twist that we secure and stabilize the lower back. And we breathe as we move. Resist the temptation to take a shallow breath. Continue to breathe fully as you move from side to side. A few more. Good. Let's do 2 more each side, so 4 total. Last one to the right. And then take that left hand all the way back down outside the left hip. Shoulders are back. Sit up tall. Let your chin fall to your chest. Continue to sit fully. Your shoulders are back and apart, strong in the core. And then we'll take that left ear and just kind of pull it over towards the left shoulder a little bit. Stretching that right side. Come back into neutral, we'll take it to the right, opening the left side. One more time to the left as we open the right. Last time to the right as we open the left. And then we come back into neutral, we lift the chin, and we look over our left shoulder. Not behind it, just over the top. And then we come back into neutral, and we look over the right side, just over the top. And then we come back into neutral and we look over towards the left. And this time, as we look over towards the left, we let that chin kind of fall in towards the chest. And we roll our right ear over towards our right shoulder as now we look over the right shoulder. And then we switch back to the left. Just a little bit more space that we're opening in the neck. Stay strong in your core so you're upright. Very specific range of motion here with the neck. And as we know, as we move, we use other areas of the body to support the movement of whatever area we're doing. In this instance, the cervical spine. So we're using our core to very much stabilize this movement. We'll do one more each side. So one more time to the left, and then one more time to the right. And then come back into neutral and lift your chin up. Take a deep full breath, shoulders back and apart. Exhale. And before we transition to all fours, let's take a moment to breathe here. And allow your breath to either come in through the nose and exhale through the mouth, or inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose. Continuing to find that target zone of the breath as it moves in towards that lower belly. And then from that position, let's take a moment here as we inhale, and that final little exhale in seated posture to release anything that doesn't serve us well. Resuming that nice normal pattern of breath, and from there, we simply move to our all fours position. Hands underneath the wrists, knees underneath the hip. And we'll spend a little bit of time here, so if you're sensitive in the knees, just take your mat and roll it back, double it up, and then take your knees on top of that if that's something that you would benefit and add to the quality of your practice. Spread the fingers as wide as you can, tuck the toes and round your back a little bit. And then from there, we're just going to kind of move in a pattern here. We'll do a couple cat-cows. So as you move in the cat-cow position, we've already strengthened and worked a little bit of our side body and our lower back, certainly our neck, so you may experience a little bit more freedom of movement, but we'll resist the temptation to go deeper. We'll take a nice mindful approach to opening the body during this practice. And it's important that we connect the breath to the actual movement itself. The breath is kind of that guide, that ability to connect, allowing for a nice expression of movement. And then as we continue this kind of cat-cow position, let's start a little bit of a circle movement. So as you start to go in a clockwise position, we start to take a little bit more space into the wrists, the knees, the shoulders, the hips, as we do this nice circular movement. A couple more rounds in this direction. Staying very aware of what our body is offering. Experiencing each move, each breath, connecting ourselves deeper towards the body. And then from there, let's simply reverse the movement. And as you move again, connecting to what the body is offering. Couple more. Good, and as we come back to a neutral, we'll take one more little circle here, come back into neutral. Shoulders over your wrists, knees underneath your hips, and bring your knees a little bit closer together, step your left foot straight back. From there, you're simply going to switch to the right, take the sole of the left foot to the floor, the right hand is heavy, and you're going to take your left arm up towards the ceiling. And then from that position, take your left arm and then wrap it around and place the palm facing out on your sacrum, the center part of your lower back. Spread your fingers wide and push the sacrum, push the hand into the sacrum a little bit, and then from your left shoulder, simply roll it open and open across the chest. Stay strong in the right hand, stay strong in the left foot, so you build that foundation of your body in this posture. Pull the belly button up into your heart space so you feel a little bit of length, and you can even start to take your gaze towards the top of the mat as you stretch the front body and coming into a little bit of a back bend. And then we'll look down, we'll take the left hand down, we'll bring the left knee back, we'll take the right leg back, we'll shift to the left. Right arm comes up, it transitions to the sacrum, palm facing out. Roll that right shoulder open, left hand heavy, right foot heavy. And then from that position, pull the belly button in towards your spine and maybe take the gaze forward a little bit as you open the front part of your body. Coming to a little bit of a back bend. You may even feel some sensation in the front part of your hips as you do this. We're all connected underneath the skin, so you move one area, there's a good chance you're going to feel it in other areas of your body. Take the right hand down, take the right knee back, bring the left leg back again, and from there we stay square, hips and shoulders. Left leg comes up. We're going to take that left knee and we're going to bend it, and we're simply going to open it towards the left. And from that position, we want to make sure we keep the integrity of the right hip solid. So we're not leaning into the right, we're staying strong. Bring that left heel a little closer towards your glutes. Maybe lift that left knee a little bit higher with the mindfulness of integrity of the right side. Step the left foot outside the left hand. From there, the right hand goes to the front top of the mat, your left hand goes to your left thigh, and you open up towards the left. If it's comfortable, the left toes can point out a little bit, maybe 45 degrees, but make sure that the left knee is in alignment with your toes. Now stay strong on that right hand as you open your heart and feel that stretch on the right side. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Good girl. The tendency here is we start to collapse a little bit on that right side, so we want to keep that right shoulder moving into the right hand so we get our length, get that full openness in the upper chest. Take your gaze down, take your left knee back underneath your hip, square your hips, take the right leg back, lift it up, bend the knee, and then open it towards the right. Again, we want to make sure the integrity of the posture, so we don't lean over towards the left, we stay strong. Take a couple rounds of breath. Bring that right heel a little closer towards your glute, and then feel that stretch in the hip, and then from that, step your right foot outside your right hand. Take your left hand to the corner of the mat, drop your hips, right hand comes to the thigh as you open up towards the right. Again, stay strong on that left hand, so left shoulder, left palm, and open up. Just feel the release. The hip flexors are one of those areas that being attentive to them and taking care of them and working them in a way that's beneficial to the body, the health factor is so improved by that area of the body when you work it. Right hand comes down, right knee comes back. One more side here. Inhale, left leg back, lift it off the floor, and then bend the knee again and open it to the left. Again, keeping the integrity of that right hip. Strong in the left. Step your left foot outside your left hip, but keep it lifted. hold it here, go into the outside of the hip. Again, try not to collapse to the right. So if we have to lower that left foot a little bit to stay and maintain the integrity, do so. And then stretch it forward, reach it to the outside of your left hip. And now we're going to take that left arm back up. We'll take that left hand, zip it around, let the palm face out on your sacrum, let the inner left shoulder roll open and stretch the front body. Squeeze the inner thighs together so the left foot tries to move towards the right, you drag it, and the right knee tries to move towards the left. So you feel the inner thighs active and you stretch. Good. Now we're going to take a little bit of a move here. We're going to left hand down. Left leg is going to come up and you're going to take it to the outside of the mat on the right. You're going to round your back and you're going to look to the right and over that right shoulder to see your left foot. Stay strong in the arms so your back is slightly rounded. Take a gaze towards your left foot. And as we do, we pull that left hip back a little bit. Good. Come back into neutral, take your left leg up, bring it to the outside of your left hand again. Drop your hips, right hand to the corner, left hand to the left thigh, maybe the right to left toes are open 45 degrees, and we open up again. Notice the sensation is enhanced. Now, we'll take an opportunity here that our body's open a little bit more. Either the top of the right foot is on the floor, or you can tuck the toes, whichever is most comfortable. If the toes are tucked, you're going to push in and you're going to lift your knee up. If the top of the foot is the floor, you're going to push into the top of the foot, stretching the ankle and lifting the knee as well. Whatever case, stay strong in that right side and breathe. You'll notice the enhancement of the stretch on that right side. And we release the right knee down, left hand comes back, left knee comes back underneath the hip. Take your right leg back, lift it up, and then stretch it to the outside. Bend the knee, open it to the right. Stay strong so the left side is balanced. And then step that right foot outside your right hip, but hover it for a moment. And then release it to the floor. Left hand heavy, right arm comes up. Right arm zips around. Right shoulder rolls open, so again, open in the upper chest, stay strong on the left hand, stay strong on the right foot, and you breathe. And then from there, the right hand comes down, and again, remember, we're transitioning that right foot, lift it up, right over to the outside of the left. Round your back a little bit, look over the left shoulder, see the right foot, pull your right hip back. Remembering to keep the breath flowing. Good. We'll lift it up, we'll bring it over to the outside of the right hand. Left hand to the corner of the mat, right hand to the thigh, open up towards the left, towards the right. Now again, maybe the toes tuck, maybe the top of the foot stays on the mat as you lift that left knee, stretching deeper in, building strength and stability for 5 full cycles of breath. And then release the left knee down, bring the right hand down, right knee comes back underneath your hip, so we're back to the all fours position. Toes are tucked, inhale here, and as you sit your hips back towards your heels, stretch the soles of the feet, round your back, spread your fingers as wide as you can get, and inhale back to the all fours, and as you exhale, downward dog. And as you come to downward dog, take a moment or two to pedal the feet back and forth. Shift the hips back and forth. And then from there, we're going to inhale, heels high, knees down, exhale. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, toes stay tucked, stretch back, opening the upper back and lower back and mid back. Inhale, roll back to the all fours position, and then stretch it into downward dog. We'll do a few of these in a row. From here, we heels high, inhale, knees down, exhale. Inhale, stretch the heart forward, exhale back into your child's pose with the toes tucked if that's comfortable. Inhale, move forward. Remember, keeping the breath deep and full. Stretch it back into dog pose. Two more, heels high, inhale, knees down, exhale. Inhale here, exhale back. Strong core propels you back to the all fours position as we move into our downward dog. Good. Last one, heels high, inhale. Knees down, exhale. Inhale, stretch the heart forward. Exhale back into your down or your child's pose variation. Toes are tucked. Moving back forward, downward dog. Now from here, step your feet a little bit wider than your hips and walk your hands back towards your feet. As you walk your hands back towards your feet, turn your toes out so the toes are basically lined up with the side of the mat. Make your knees a little bit on the bent side and then kind of sway your hips back and forth. No pressure in the neck. And then inhale, half lift, move the shoulders back. And what we want to do here is we want to actively tilt the pelvis forward. So we want our seat moving back. And then fold again. Inhale, half lift. Then exhale, fold. Two more, inhale, half lift. And then exhale, fold. Legs are super strong right now. Last one, inhale. And then exhale to release. Inhale, all the way up. The legs stay wide. And then as you take your hands back to your side, step the feet together at hip width, standing at the back of the mat, taking some deep, full rounds of breath. Now, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time in our standing postures today. We're going to move a little bit from the back of the mat, okay? So we'll do a couple half sun salutations, and we'll build on that as we move. So arms up, exhale, fold. Half on the breath, fold. Standing. And releasing. Let's do three more. Continuing to move with quality and integrity. Stretch all the way up. And release. Do two more. And just move with grace as you glide from top to bottom. And bottom to top. And release. Last one. Keeping that nice pattern of breath, letting it guide your movement. And release. Standing, lengthening through the heart as you come to standing posture. Inhale, arms up. Now we're going to build on that sequence. So we'll do a few more rounds, but we're going to build on it. From here, half lift, bend the left, work on straightening the right, and then walk it to the left a little bit. So very similar to what we did in our seated posture, but now we're on our legs. Pull that right hip back a little bit, go deeper into that right hip. Use your core so we stay strong and stable. Come back into neutral, bend the right, straighten the left, walk it to the right. Pull your left hip back a little bit. Come back into neutral, fold. Standing tall, inhale, lead with the heart all the way up. And then exhale to hands to side body. Good, let's do a couple more, building on each one, okay? If that's where you like to be on this next round and you want to stay there, then absolutely stay there. Inhale, half lift, bend the left, straighten the right. This time we're going to stay left hand on the floor, right hand comes to the hip. Right shoulder moves back, maybe look to the right. From that right hip, push into the right foot so you get that thigh moving back. Maybe the right arm comes up. And release the right hand down, fold. Half lift, bend the right, straighten the left. Left hand moves to the hip. Left shoulder rolls open, perhaps. Maybe the left arm moves up. Inhale here, left hand down, fold. Stand tall, inhale. And release. Take a couple breaths here. Breathe. Okay, now we're going to move into a little bit deeper postures, supporting the lower back, supporting your hips. Okay? So any modifications you need to do for your personal practice, you absolutely do them. Inhale, arms up. You're going to fold, exhale. Half lift, and then walk your hands back out to a downward dog. So, downward dog. Take your left leg up. Push through the heel. Let your upper back move in a little bit. Bend your left knee and open it again towards the left. This time, try to take it a little bit more towards the right, pulling your right hip back. Stretch. Now, bring your left knee into your chest. And then take your left ankle and cross it over the top of your right knee, flexing your left ankle. Take your upper back in, stretch, move that left hip back, and breathe. Now lift your chin to the space between your hands and start to transition into a plank position and allow that left knee to move forward and place it on the outside of your left wrist. Take your right toes and you're going to tuck them and you're going to move that right leg back, taking your hips with it, but keeping that left leg anchored. And as you stretch back, take your hands outside the left knee, take your hand outside the left foot, and lift up and stretch. And breathe. Now, as we did early in the class, when we moved our torso forward but stayed grounded in our hips, we're doing that same action here. Let your hips be rooted, but move the torso forward and release your forearms to the mat. Now, from this position, take your left foot and push it into the floor. This portion of your left hip, you're going to pull back a little bit. And then try to drag your right foot forward. Okay? Now, if you're comfortable here, you can stretch your arms all the way long, letting the forehead rest on the ground. Entirely up to you, but keep the integrity of the posture. Okay. We want to breathe into the sensations that we are experiencing. So left hip, okay, maybe even the left ankle, maybe the top of the right thigh, that hip flexor region. And breathe. Now from here, we're simply going to walk our hands back. So now our hands are staying on the mat. We're going to pretty much leave that right hand where it is. We're going to take, the left hand where it is, and we're going to take that right hand to the sole of your left foot. And then we're going to push in and we're going to open up towards the right. So not only are we working hips, but we're coming into a little bit of a back bend here. And stretch. Just take some deep, full rounds of breath. Feel that right side get nice and long. and then release the right hand down, tuck your right toes under, and then scoot that right knee forward again, just like you did on the reverse, but now you're going forward. Take your left leg back, downward dog. Pedal the feet back and forth. Second side, take your right leg up and back. Bend the knee and open it to the left. And as you open it to the left, we pull the left hip back, take your upper back in. Move that right knee forward into the chest, cross that right ankle over that left knee, flex your left, and then take your upper back in. Flex the right ankle, move your right hip back, and breathe. And then look between the hands, move that right knee outside your right wrist, let it rest on the floor. Take your left toes and tuck them under and move that left knee back. From here, drop your forearms down and rest. Take that right outer hip and pull it back. Take the left foot, try to pull it forward. Squeeze. What we want to feel here is the outer hips moving in. Keeping the integrity of the posture that is based on your body. Not going beyond what we feel is comfortable. And breathing deeply into the areas of sensation. Right hip, right foot, left upper thigh. Couple more rounds of breath. And then as we walk our hands back, we lift up our heart. Right hand pretty much stays where it is. Left hand comes to the sole of the right foot. We push down and we open up towards the left, moving the shoulders away from our ears. Stretch. And then release the hands down. Again, we're going to reverse that action. We're going to take that left knee and move it forward a little bit, clearing space to release the right leg back. Downward dog. Stretch. Make your upper back a little heavier so your hands move down and try to stretch the mat forward as your upper back softens some. And then release the knees down. And then from there, either sit back on your heels or come to a cross-leg position. We'll just take a moment or two here. We'll come to a seat in just a minute, but we'll take a pause here. If you're comfortable sitting on your heels, then take the tops of the feet and stretch those. Shoulders are back and apart. Nice full rounds of breath. And then we're simply going to twist over towards the left. So take your left hand to the outside of your left foot, right hand to the thigh, and twist over. Twist to the right. Each breath offers a new adventure into the body. As we deepen the stretch, feeling the sense of just well-being within our body. Come back into neutral, palms rest on your thighs, chin to chest. Left ear, left shoulder. Back to neutral, right ear, right shoulder. Back to neutral, lift the chin, look over towards the left. Back to neutral, look to the right. Covering all angles of the body. Come into neutral, take a breath, and then transition to your seat with your legs in the Baddha Konasana position, which is soles of the feet together, hands to your ankles, or perhaps the hands come behind you. I like the hands behind you to get you situated, and then you can transition your hands forward if that's keeping the body in that good, comfortable space. Shoulders are back, lean in towards your thighs, feel the knees are moving away from you. The gravity pretty much do the work here, but you're just stretching the heart forward. You can transition the hands to your ankles now if that's comfortable. Elbows rest on the inner thighs with the elbows getting a little bit heavier. And then just stretch. Maybe a little bit of bounce with the knees, not much, just a couple inches either direction, but stay with it. Feel like you're moving with resistance. Good. Now we'll take a moment here to just kind of go a little bit deeper into our body. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this left foot, and we're pretty much going to leave it where it is, okay? We're going to take this right foot and stretch it out to the side, okay? Now, we're going to take that left foot and we're going to lift it up, and we're just going to invite it to the inner upper right crease of your hip. Now, as you sit tall, this left knee is elevated, okay? Perhaps you just kind of let it start drifting to the floor. If there is some resistance, stay with your hands on that left knee and just support it. Okay? And if this is better for the left foot to be on the floor, that's absolutely fine. If your left knee kind of releases down towards the floor, okay? And that's a nice little hip opener here. This is a prep pose for full lotus. And you'll just take a couple breaths. And then lean back a little bit, engage your right leg, take your left hand to your left foot, and then pull back and then stretch. Sit up as tall as you can. And then from here, stretch the left foot forward. Bring your right in, let it sit for a second. And then lift it up, and then invite it to the crease of your left hip. Maybe our hands hold that right knee, or maybe if we feel that space is there, we sit up tall and that right knee can move down to the floor. Breathing to the sensations. We'll ease up a little bit, take that right hand to the right foot, stretch it out, and then offer like kind of a seated version of half happy baby pose. And then release the right foot down. Last round of Baddha Konasana, so soles of the feet together, hands behind us, sit up as tall as you can, and then move the heart forward. Hands come to your ankles, pull back, elbows are in the inner thighs as they stretch down and apart. And then release. Awesome. Slowly release. Take a twist to the right. Left hand, right knee. Right hand comes behind you. Sit up tall. Stretch. So this is the final little seated sequence here as we take that final steps and just releasing and opening the body before we come to our back. We'll transition to the left. And come back into neutral. Take your hands to the outside of your knees. Lift up. Scoot the legs forward. And then we're going to come to our back. As you come to your back, soles of the feet to the floor. Let your back settle. Take a couple breaths. Scoot the legs together. Take your left ankle over your right knee. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to position that left ankle right in the middle of your right thigh. So it's not off to the right, it's not on the inside, it's right on the top of it, okay? Now, you're going to drop your knees to the right, and that left foot is actually going to hover off the floor. That left knee, with gravity only, is going to move forward. Your head's resting on the floor, and just let that left hip open up, okay? This is basically the exact same situation we just presented in the seated posture, but now we're on our back, okay? And if it's uncomfortable, bring that left knee back towards your body and kind of position it where it's pointing up towards the sky. Otherwise, but keep the left ankle flexed so it's supportive of that left knee, and breathe. You'll feel probably a nice stretch on the inner right thigh, going deep into that hip joint. And if you take your right hand to the inside and you kind of feel those elastic bands there, those are your hip flexors. Those are the things that make your knees and legs go up and down when you walk. So you can see they get a lot of attention, and that's why it's so important to take care of them. Slowly come back into neutral, and we're just going to transition the knees over towards the left. And as you move towards the left, maybe the right arm stretches over your head. Come back into neutral and then transition the left foot to the floor. Right ankle crosses over, right in the middle of that left thigh, okay? Ankle is flexed to make sure we protect the knee. We drop him to the left. Right foot is going to hover, and the right knee falls away from you. Nice stretch in that inner left hip, inner right hip. And these are the postures that really kind of fine-tune the areas of the body that we use so much in our day-to-day. Going in and just tapping into the areas that do all the work. And then from that position, you're slowly going to draw the knees back, and you're going to transition immediately to your right. Maybe the left arm comes over. With snowing leaves. And then slowly come back into neutral. Bring both knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice little squeeze. Transition perhaps to your happy baby pose. A little side to side to massage those areas that we tapped into, the back. Feeling that nice stretch in the back body. Massaging the hip flexors. And then that final knees into the chest to give yourself that big squeeze, tight little ball. And then from there, let your legs stretch all the way out towards the top of the mat. Arms rest alongside body, maybe on your heart space. Take that nice deep breath. And as you exhale, just let it all release. We'll take a couple minutes here to simply rest and restore. Start to deepen the breath, but allow the body to remain in this position of stillness. Just simply let the actions of the breath move the body. Start to move the fingers and the toes in a mindful, graceful way, sticking with the theme of keeping the body with the integrity as we slowly draw our awareness back to this time and this place. Moving our bodies into a comfortable seated position facing forward. And as we sit in our position of stillness, we sit with comfort, we sit with stability and balance. We sit with a sense of well-being, physically, mental health, spiritually. And it is from that place that we draw our hands into prayer position, recalling the intention of our practice as we bow our heads. And the divine within me honors and respects the divine within you. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide your practice today. Namaste.